It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
We are live right now on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'd like to apologize for the delay. We're on some CPT time today. My professor pulled class every other week. So every other week until the semester's over, we'll be chiming in at 5 o'clock. But thank you to all the supporters and the people watching out there. Let me introduce my panel, co-founder of the Sports Hit List, Mr. Ziggy Zig himself. How you doing, sir?
What's going on?
And we have the birthday boy himself. I know yesterday was his birthday, but we didn't get to wish it to him. Happy birthday to Coach Womack. Happy birthday, sir. Hope you celebrated well. Man. God bless you.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So today we're here to talk about it's no longer the ugly elephant in the room. Draymond Green put the NBA on blast with his comments. For those who did not see his promo-like post-game interview, Draymond spoke about the inconsistencies and hypocrisies in the NBA as pertaining to when players ask to get traded and what the teams do. There's a lot to be said here, so I'm not going to waste any time. Coach, what are your thoughts on what Draymond had to say on behalf of the players?
I commend him. I mean, he's dead on to me. Here you go, Ray. You just spoke my man into existence. Spoke into existence, man. What up, brother? How you doing?
What's good, fellas?
Chilling. Speaking of Draymond, I think he was spot on, man. I was watching Around the Horn, and Sarah Spain, which she has a plethora of knowledge in all things sports, and special shout out to her. She's been doing great things, especially for women in sports. But when she said, the players give a commitment, and if you tell a team you're going to be there for 4 years, and then just to say you want to be traded, that team built everything around you, and they brought other players around you, so you owe it to them to stick out your contract. I was like, man, somebody on this panel got to call her out, because that's garbage. Because the teams can do the same thing. If you don't produce, or even if you produce sometimes, they will trade you in a heartbeat. It's the business. That's what it's a business at the end of the day. Wherever job you work at, it's a business. You can get removed. You can get replaced. Draymond is saying, don't castrate the players when they say they want to be traded, and we got to be silent. But when the owners want to trade you, they could just pull you from the game, and now the whole world knows they want to trade you. The only thing I agree with him is James Harden gave it a bad light, because what he did, dogging it from what Draymond said, and we all know James Harden dogged it, he didn't go to work as he should have every day until he was traded. That's the only difference. If you want to be traded, cool. But keep playing until they trade you if you're getting paid for it, because that's your job. That's what I feel. I felt like if they're paying you, you got to report to work. Just like if you want to be traded and they trade you, you got to get paid wherever you're going to. I think James Harden should have gave it his all, even if he wanted to be traded, but let them be known that I want to get out of it. But at the end of the day, he got what he wanted, so it worked out for him. So, congratulations, James Harden.
Zig, what were your initial thoughts after watching Draymond's promo-like post-game interview?
You know me well already, Carl. I'm like one of those people that's always against the establishment. So when I saw Draymond Green sit up there and talk about, the double standard that's taking place, I was definitely for him. Sorry about that. I was definitely for him. It was just kind of out of nowhere. I was wondering, where did it come from? It seemed like it might have been on his mind for a minute, because he just came out of nowhere saying that's what he wanted to talk about. But I definitely agree with him that it's been crazy how the vitriol and how angry certain individuals and fans can be at the players, but nothing is said when the establishments do it themselves. We remember what happened to Anthony Davis when he wanted out of New Orleans. That he was telling them he could play like 1, 2, 3 quarters and then sit him down for the fourth quarter. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You could just either let him stay home and work it out. But like I said, I just commend Draymond Green for what he did. Kudos to him, man. Big ups.
Mr. Ray Jarvis, what are your thoughts? I know you dropped your promo yesterday. So you want to care to elaborate, or what are your thoughts on it?
I think the issue that I have with this whole setup is, we as sports fans, we understand the dynamics of contracts and ownership and player and front offices. We know all of that. But to Draymond's point, I'll expand and say that why is the professionalism always expected to be from the player's side? You know what I mean? Like, a player can want to be traded. An organization can want to trade a player. But when a player decides that he doesn't want to play anymore, or dog it or loaf it in Harden's, case, right? He's unprofessional. But what about the organizations who are being unprofessional when they don't do the due diligence to get rid of said player and avoid the chaos that comes with a player who wants to be gone? Case in point, Anthony Davis. A lot of us, we spoke about AD getting to LA and we lived in the chaos of the trading deadline and what happened and what didn't happen, and AD eventually ending up in LA that following summer. But what about Dell Demps and how unprofessional he was in handling business with the Lakers, basically cutting off his nose to spite his face and not doing the deal, knowing full well the player didn't want to be there. You know, we don't talk about the front offices forcing the players to get petty and wear T-shirts like "that's all, folks." You know what I mean? Like, that professionalism has to be on both sides. And because of that unprofessionalism, Dell Demps lost his job. Okay, we don't talk about that part enough. We get so focused on the players as fans because the media always wants to frame it towards the players that we don't think about the front office. That man lost his job because he was unprofessional. Magic Johnson stepped down because he was unprofessional, and there was a lot of smoke and a lot of stuff on Magic's face because of the fact that the players he wanted to trade were still there, and they had to live in that uncomfortable existence, and he didn't get the job done. You know what I mean? All of it because it's unprofessional. Houston was going to take the AD route with James Harden. They were going to try to string him out and do a deal on their time. And because of what happened with AD, this is what cause and effect. People never think about cause and effect. The cause and effect of the AD deal was Harden said, y'all not going to AD me. So now I'm going to make it uncomfortable for y'all to keep me. Sorry if it means that John Wall and Boogie Cousins got to get in their feelings, but if the organization is going to be unprofessional when the player respectfully asks for a trade and went out there and played, I think he got a 50 ball. How great is James Harden to give you an unprofessional 50 ball? You know what I'm saying? In his first game. Do your due diligence as an organization to give the player what they want. As I said yesterday, I think, especially in the NBA, if we understand as fans, the smart fans at least, understand that this is a whole thing where superstar players get what they want. Organizations know that superstar players get what they want. We need some language in the new CBA. When a superstar player or a player decides of a high cachet that he doesn't want to be there anymore, and or the organization decides that they don't want the player anymore, there needs to be something on paper that says that until we can get a deal done, don't come to the office. You know what I mean? Don't come on the bench. Don't wear a suit. Let's just have the understanding. Let's put it on wax. Is my point.
I want to ask you a question, Ray, because I want to play devil's advocate. I'm all with you. Everything you said, I'm with you. But I'm not a media person. I don't want to steal your thunder, call, because you may have this question. So I don't want to steal your
Go
thunder.
for it, sir. It's all good.
But
man.
it just came to my mind. It's like, I feel like the organizations, when they get strongholded, when these stars say, I'm not gonna stay here, that's where the problem becomes the negotiations. So if Team A knows that they have to trade a James Harden, and they want to get as much back for James Harden as they can, when they go into these negotiations, like say with Brooklyn, and they say James Harden ain't playing unless he's traded to Brooklyn. So now they know he has the leverage. Brooklyn almost has the leverage. So now Houston doesn't get the best deal possible business-wise. So I just think sometimes media got to do their job, but it's a lot of chatty patties. Like let the business take its place. Like, stop getting these fake quotes from these trainers and these secondhand people and saying who's going to say what, who's going to do what, because then it starts to take the value down from the trade. And I think that's what Houston, like you said, Houston was trying to do. They were trying to say, we're not trading him so more teams can bid. And then finally, James Harden was like, you know what? I'm not waiting for your bids. I'm just out. So what do you think about that in terms of like you got to keep the business aspect of it, like let the trades happen, give it time to happen so people can get back what their worth is. James Harden is worth a lot. You got to get that haul back when you give him up.
I mean, the problem with that is because player A says that he wants to go play in New York City or Los Angeles or Miami, whatever big market that's a hot spot in the NBA, right? No other organization is going to do business in good faith because they know that player doesn't want to be there anyway. So the primary organization that controls the player already is dealing with a bad hand because he knows the player wants to go to a specific city. All the other teams involved know that this player wants to go to a specific city. So they're never going to give you the best possible package because they're afraid that if they get this player, he's going to be a rental anyway. This is why I was saying, if we know that this is how the game is played, we have to start dealing with the obvious. There's so much feelings involved. All these millions and billions of dollars. It's so much hurt feelings when a player doesn't want to play there anymore for the fans and the organization. But you knew that already. Yeah, y'all didn't want to act out until it became news because you think James Harden woke up Tuesday and said, I wanted to be traded? The Houston Rockets knew at the end of last season James Harden didn't want to be there anymore. And you know what? They felt as though we hold the cards. He has X amount of years left on the deal. We can figure something out. Let's go get him John Wall.
We could change your mind.
Let's go get John Wall. He'll be happy with John Wall. You know what I mean?
When the girl breaks up with you, sometimes the breakup is for real. There ain't no getting back. There ain't no. I don't care. You can't lie and say, "Baby, I'm sorry." That's it. Nah.
How many times we got to see this play out before we realize this is what it is? The superstar holds the cards. It don't matter about the organization.
So let me ask this question. And you guys know I've been guilty of this in the past, where I put a lot of pressure on the players, or I'm very upset and salty at players for making decisions. A lot of the things I'm reading out there, and clearly my perspective has changed over time, and I definitely agree with what Draymond said, but because we all agree, let me put, like Max said, in terms of devil's advocate here, the players try to be as equal as the owners. And a lot of people feel like it's like, you can't be as equal as your employer. For example, I can't be as equal as the Deans. I can't be as equal. So that's what the argument is that the players want equal treatment, but they have to understand they work for an employer. So they're clearly not going to get that. Is that a fair assessment or not? Zig, let me start with you.
For me personally, I look at the sports, particularly NBA, it's hard to kind of like compare it so in that particular fashion, you know what I mean, employee, employer or whatever, because at the end of the day, these NBA players, they're still human first. I think we get caught up too much in the fact of looking at these guys as just, hey, they just players. No, these guys are humans. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's a fair assessment. I disagree with that. It's just a lot of, like you just said, there's a lot of people saying a lot of negative things about this overall. You peep in the story how Charles Barkley is saying that Draymond Green isn't the person to be talking about this. It's just a really weird situation. But just to bring it back to your point, I definitely disagree with that. It's a totally different stage. I don't think you can compare the two.
All right, Coach, can you compare the two? And I heard you say it's like a slavery mentality, but could you compare the two in terms of you're playing for the owner, so you're the employee, so you really have, I guess, no say in the matter? Is that a fair assessment or no, Coach?
No, because like this is what the whole game is, more players to this game, like Jaw was talking about. This is not just player owner. This is agents. This is general manager. This is coaches. You know, there's a lot of players involved. There's a negotiation process between every contract. They don't call it negotiations for a reason. If that was the case, they would just have salaries for every player and say, hey, player, you got to accept this salary. And that's it. So this is not a dictatorship. That's what the sport has become. It's a constant tug of war between who holds the cards. Sometimes the owners hold the cards and nobody cries. Patrick Ewing, what was he doing in Orlando and in Seattle at the end of his career? Why was he there? Why was he in Orlando, Seattle? John Starks, that's my favorite player of all time. Why was he packed up and shipped out after he helped build the culture in New York City? He was a fan favorite because they didn't need him anymore. He served his purpose and they said, you got to go. So now when players say, I don't need you anymore, you served your purpose as the Houston Rockets. I did all I can do for you. You know what I'm saying? AD, I did all I can do for you. I want to go win. It's the end of my career or twilight of my career. I don't want to be here. I gave you good years. Now you're going to give me my walking papers and get back what you could get back. It's no longer I just work for somebody and they hold all the cards. If that was the case, there wouldn't be that word negotiations. There's always negotiations, especially in the NBA world.
Ray, what do you think of that?
Like, just one sentence that we can move on. You can't keep bringing common man issues to billion-dollar conversations, period. All of you regular folks with your 9-to-5s, we are not the same with athletes. As much as we want to live vicariously through them, we are not the same. Your job, you can't do that to your boss because it's not the same. We're not talking millions and billions of dollars. So we got to stop bringing these issues when we talk about players, organizations, salary caps, as Coach said, negotiations. This player is a walking business in and of himself. So he cannot be compared to the dude at his job right now watching us talk. He can't.
Quote Hov. What he said? I'm not a businessman. I'm a
businessman.
Man.
Common men and billion-dollar business are not the same. Don't take offense. It's just the facts.
So let's ask this question. When Draymond made his comments, who was he exactly pointing it at? Was he talking to the fans? Was he talking to the media?
Talking to you.
Was he talking to the NBA? He's talking to me.
He's talking to you. Listen, another part that we're not talking about is people saying, well, you know, Charles Barkley or some of these guys come in and say, oh, it's this new era. Nah, the media wasn't active in the way that you can just see things play out like we can see it now. We can see everything in real time. If this was 1985, it would take 3 weeks for us to know what James Harden said personally, or he wanted to leave. It wouldn't be able to get out as fast as it's getting out. You have to pick up the newspaper every day to try and find a little blurb that talked about transactions. Remember that blurb that we used to see? Transactions. That's what it used to say, or rumors.
Yeah,
now
so true.
And for you guys, Carl, if you don't have nothing to talk about, you have no job. So you got to keep the story going. You got to keep the constant battle between good and evil and walking papers and stuff like that. So, yeah, you know what I mean? It's the media. He's talking to you, Carl.
Ziggy, is he talking to the media man, or is he talking to the fans? Is he talking to who is he?
Well, Carl, the fans of the media, Carl. The fans of the media.
I don't know. See, that's a gray area, pun intended. That's
anybody that has a cell phone. Anybody that has a cell phone and a Twitter handle and wants to report news, they're not respected media, but they think they're media. They start creating these blogs and start talking and just creating stuff. Everybody thinks they're media now. And that's a problem as well.
Zig, what are your thoughts here? Who is he specifying to?
I think Max said it best, man. That's straight to the media. That's to everybody out there who's every minute they drop in some type of false news, some fake news that everybody tends to run around with, gets retweeted, gets reposted on Instagram. He's talking to all those individuals. He's letting it be known that, hey, you guys got to start giving us the players that same treatment that you're giving these owners, because it's crazy. Not to give away the whole video that Jarv posted, but that the
that's fine. Give it away.
Yeah. Nah, they gotta go watch that. You gotta.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, the visuals, they gave it away. You know what I'm saying? You had fans out here burning Kyrie Irving jersey, burning Kevin Durant's jersey, burning LeBron's jersey, and no one's saying anything about these owners. That Will Demp's comparison, that example that you brought up was spot on. You know, that was horrible. It's just awful. But he's definitely talking to the fans and the media, man.
So, Ray, is he talking to us? Because we're both media men in here. Is he specifying to us? Is he talking to us?
Absolutely. He's talking to the media because, you know, I think our era, not the ages, but at the end of the day, we were the people who saw the transition. The role of the media had changed. At one point when we were kids, we watched sports. Their job was to report the news. At some point, the media became a living symbiotic thing. Like the media is its own creature. It's not one particular person. And they realized that with social media and the way that fans react to things, we have to now pivot the way we report the news. And if we get clicks from villainizing the player, we're always going to do that. Why? Because they can put a face to the player. No one cares about the dude in the suit that owns the team. You know what I mean? With the exception of when the Cleveland Cavaliers owner Gilbert, he made himself a fool when LeBron left the first time. It's kind of hard to pinpoint owners and make them the villain. There's a handful of villainous owners.
I think the Knicks fans do it too. When the Knicks fans chant fire Dolan and they put bags over their head.
Every one owner, there's like 15 to 20 players that you can make a villain and the fans can attach themselves to that. And because of that relationship with the fan and the media, the coach's point, the fans have become part of the media because 9 times out of 10, the fans sides with the yelling Stephen A. when he says things about Kyrie retiring. They don't side with the player. Maybe 1 in every 10 fans sides with the player. So they create that storm and they make these players seem like bozos or rich, you know, aloof people who don't understand the common man. When the thing is, they stopped being the common man the night they got drafted. It is a gray area because somewhere in the middle of that, the players are probably being a little unprofessional. The owners are being a little unprofessional. The media is being a little unprofessional. But it creates something for us to lose our minds about on a day-to-day basis. Draymond's talking to the media, and in that media, it's the fans and the people who get paid to talk.
But us as media, like Womack said, so we're all in that business of media. Could we change the narrative? Could we now shift it to listen to Draymond and shift it to the owners now and start holding the bad teams accountable? Could we do that or no? Is it
tune into the gray area? That's what you can do.
But Ray said it. It's not. That's not as enticing. Like it's not as enticing for me to like. I can't even. The owner of the Houston Rockets. What's his name again? I know you guys.
Fertitta.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. Like he doesn't. I don't know his Instagram handle. I don't know that he parties in Miami. And I don't know that he, you know, I don't know. He doesn't have a signature sneaker. Like it's not sexy enough to attack the owner, even if they're doing bad business. It's not going to get enough clicks. But if I put James Harden unprofessional, James Harden parties in Miami because he doesn't want to go to training camp, that's going to get me millions of clicks if I have the right people following me. Like it's just about the sex.
You know what? I can disagree with that because I remember. I don't know if this was the Lakers, but there was a point in time where protests started outside of Staples Center. Was that true a couple of years ago where the Laker fans were protesting? And I'm sure the Knicks fans, the gym bus era, or like Knicks fans start protesting. So you mean to tell me you have fan bases protesting outside is not going to draw attention to that team owner?
No, because because listen, what happened after the protest in the Knicks? What happened? It was a 1 day, 2 day story. It was a 1 or 2 day story in the news, and then it died down. But people still talk about Stephon Marbury eating Vaseline to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just sexier to talk about the pro athletes. And also, like Ray said, the normal Joes who may have some hate in their blood because they didn't reach a certain pinnacle in their life and they just want to hate on someone, they're going to hate the athlete more than they are the owner. That's just how it is. That's just how it always been.
So at the end of the day, Zig, there's really no solution to the problem. It's just going to be a revolving. Like Draymond may have spoke about it, and he's probably asking for change, but that double standard is not going to change that.
Probably not. I ain't even going to make it long with it. It's probably not even going to change.
Yeah,
it's not.
That's why I said put some verbiage in the CBA to make it part of the game. If it's part of the game, the average Joe can't complain as much because it's part of the game. They want rules, right? The average Joe is always crying about players breaking the rules. So if you make it a rule and they agree to it, then it's nothing to complain about. That's my point of view.
Coach,
so how would the wording go, Ray?
I don't know.
Go ahead, Ray. Tell us how would you word it, Ray?
Hey, listen. I don't have the lawyers or the financial backing to do that type of verbiage here, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But the people who make
just give us a little bit. But just give us a little bit. How would
basically the idea would be is if the player and organization reach a point where the relationship is no longer salvageable, there needs to be a period where the player and the organization agree that he will not come to the office or the court to practice until a deal is made. Because again, we already know that a team already wants the player. Multiple teams want the player. It's nothing for a team to make a trade. Think about it. As soon as Harden went in and said that we can't do this anymore in his final presser as a Rocket, the next day he was in that. So we don't have to pretend that there's no deals out there. Put it on wax. If the relationship is no longer salvageable, the player and the organization agreed to remain apart until a deal can be done to get him where he wants to go.
Davis got fined for demanding his trade, but then the Cavs can come out and say it. So again, like that shouldn't be fair either. So could that possibly be put into the clause as well?
Absolutely. Right. That's what I'm saying. Let's stop pretending and let's live on Earth together. We don't want each other anymore. So let's break up.
All right, guys. So now around the league, Ray, Anthony Davis, are we nervous? We've seen this before where a player develops the strains and now they're going to rest for a rest period. This happened with Kevin Durant a few years ago. Are you nervous about AD returning to the court?
I'm more concerned about Anthony Davis more than nervous because then I saw a video the night I think it was on Twitter. I forgot who. It might have been Montrez recording him. He's walking fine. He's yucking it up in the elevator. He looks okay. I think the bigger issue with AD is that he's a very tall individual, came in super out of shape, looked damn near chubby in that Laker uniform. And I think gravity, when you're a big man, is not your friend. And he's already kind of sort of frail. So I think this period of time, I think he's not going to come back until the second half of the season based on everything I've read. Get in shape, AD. Cut that weight. And we'll see you in the second half of the season. A lot of this to me is because he's out of shape and overweight and did nothing after the bubble.
Coach, what are your thoughts on AD and them grooming him to come back?
Relax, man. Just relax and get healthy, man. You got LeBron James. You got a good core cast players. It's once you win a championship, it's no longer about proving that you can gel and be a good team. That's proven. It's about being healthy. Like we watched The Last Dance and Phil was like, Robin, go to Vegas and just chill if you want. Like miss a game. Like AD, your health is the most important part. They're not gonna, as long as he comes back a couple weeks before the playoffs and gets his legs under him. Even when he comes back after the All-Star break, I'm sure they're gonna put him on a minutes restriction. I'm sure they're gonna monitor him closely. When you get to certain organizations and when you got the teams, it's championship or bust. So that's all they worried about.
Ziggy, are you concerned about Anthony Davis and his Achilles or no?
No, I'm not concerned. I think the Lakers are going to do everything that they have to make sure that he's going to be ready down the line in the season. It's been said already here. They're focused on the season, but their main goal is the playoffs, right? We already seen them get the championship. So their main goal is to get back to that zenith point in the NBA and win that championship. I need the Lakers to do everything they can to just make sure AD is okay, even making sure, as you guys said, giving him that minutes restriction, just so Dennis Schroeder could get the necessary points, rebounds, and assists, and free throws and field goal percentage that he needs.
Oh, that's a fantasy.
Listen, this sports hit list fantasy thing going on. We got Anthony in the comments talking about veto trades. I don't know what's going on.
Why are we talking about that? We're not even like, what are we
like?
doing?
I don't know, but it was in the comments. Like, people are so upset. I don't know who's the commissioner.
That's what they're talking about now?
Yeah, they were just talking about it in the comments. I don't know what's going
Greg
on.
is not even here.
He's in the comments though. I think he's in the comments talking about it. So I don't know what's going on with this.
Listen, AD need to drop like 15 pounds, get in shape. The Lakers would be fine. I'd like to see if we could get our hands on Blake Griffin. I think that'd be a nice little pickup for us.
Yeah. So where do you guys think those two guys end up who are not being played right now in Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin, Ray?
I'm hearing some Drummond to Boston rumors. You know, he might end up a Celtic, but I think the Brooklyn Nets, if he gets bought out, he'll end up in Brooklyn or he'll end up somewhere on the West Coast because Cleveland's a petty enough organization that they wouldn't want him to go where he wants to go. So we'll see what happens. I don't have no prognostications. I like to see him in Brooklyn. I hope Danny Ainge does what's right for a change and get this big in there because y'all need a big. Jeez, y'all need a big.
You've been starving for it for years, man. It's for years. It's killing me here. It's killing me. Coach,
I think Blake ends up a Laker, though. I'm hearing enough noise that tells me Griffin, he gets bought out, he ends up in LA.
Coach, where do you think those two guys end up?
I actually haven't. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I haven't really focused in on them. Maybe if we're on again next Wednesday, I could put some behind the scenes calls in and see what people were talking about, or even today I could put some calls out. But I did hear when I did read like this morning, just on Twitter, I did see Boston, like Ray said. I saw somebody put the Raptors for Andre Drummond as a possible destination. But right now, like I'd be lying to you if I told you I had an opinion on where I think they're gonna go. Blake to the Lakers is crazy, but I think he deserves to win too. So I wouldn't even be mad if he got that at the end of his career.
Zig, what do you think? Where do those two players end up?
Honestly, I had no idea. Outside of I'm sorry, I didn't have any idea about Blake Griffin to the Lakers. That would be sick. I have no idea where he's gonna end up. I just want to see if he's actually gonna get traded or if he's gonna get bought out. I think that was the whole scenario there. Because there's a regression in Blake Griffin's skills if we've been watching basketball and paying attention. As for Andre Drummond, same as Max said, I've heard Boston, I've heard Toronto. I don't know. I honestly don't know where Andre Drummond would end up. I hope wherever he does go, he just ends up in a position where he can win because he deserves that. I mean, to be playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers, kind of helping to keep them competitive with that young duo of Wow, pause.
Whoa.
You know he
That's already in my head, bro. Been watching my athletic articles, man.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hope they're put in situations to win. Andre Drummond, I think he deserves it. Going from Detroit to now Cleveland, I like to see him win, man.
All right, I got one more NBA topic before I jump to a totally new topic. CP3. Andres posted in the
that's your last NBA topic. I ain't messing with you.
No, well, why not? Look, can you hear me out first?
Last topic.
Say again?
No, I'm like, what you mean your last NBA topic?
Because I got one more before we go. But
okay.
Chris Paul, Andres, Mr. Numbers, posted that his recent history on how he's been able to turn teams around. And me as the villain, I basically said, yeah, he turned them around, but they still have no championship and no finals appearance. So what does it really mean? And everyone attacked me and said, oh, I was wrong. I can't say that. And why am I gunning out for Chris Paul? So what are our thoughts about Chris Paul and where his career is now? Is he just that one guy to get teams over the threshold in the regular season? Or what are our thoughts here, Ray?
I mean, Chris Paul, he has so much respect. He's one of the greatest winners of all time, greatest leaders, greatest point guards, so on and so forth. But when he was in his prime and he had really good to elite teams, they failed. He was there. He was on the team. He lost the Game 7 at the crib when he was Hornets. Or was it a Hornet? Yeah, a New Orleans Hornet. He lost the Game 7 at the crib.
To the Spurs.
He blew a 3-1 lead to the Rockets and Harden, who people say Harden can't get it done, but he was a star of that team. He blew some leads. And there were a lot of different, I think it was a first-round loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, if I'm not mistaken, mixed in there. He got packed up by Gordon Hayward and the Utah Jazz in the first round. These are the things that people love to gloss over when they talk about how great of a leader he was. Was Chris Paul there? Yes. But then they'll beat me over the head and say he was hurt, though. Was Chris Paul there? Yes. So if we're going to keep talking about Chris Paul, we got to keep it 100. He has bad losses in his prime, and he's having acute twilight of his career where he's able to get to the first round and do what? Lose. And when you need him the most in the playoffs, what does he do? Get hurt. We have Andres on Twitter because he likes to moonlight on Twitter and post things he doesn't post in the group. Talking about he was so close to beating Golden State when he hurt his hamstring in 2018, right? But let's talk about the brass tacks. When we need Chris Paul, this is a yes or no question to the people in the comments and you guys here. When we really need Chris Paul, can we count on him? Yes or no? The answer has been a resounding no to this day.
Coach, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Ray said them all. I like Chris Paul. I really do like him as a player, as a person. I love, big shout out to what he's doing with the HBCU schools with that documentary. Lavelle Morton is a great coach down there, and he's been highlighting those black universities and those black coaches. Putting your own money behind that in production. Amazing. But on the court, Ray said it. He's had his chances as the alpha dog on major teams to really push himself over the edge, and he wasn't able to do it. And one thing about point guards, if you still could run, look what Chauncey Billups did with that team when he got with Melo, with the Knicks. That was the best Knicks team. When Jason Kidd, that Jason Kidd team, when he got with the Knicks. That was one of the better Knicks teams that they had because point guards can go help change the culture. We know that. If you're a solid point guard, even us old cats, we go into a game right now with some 18-year-olds, and we know how to put the tone, slow it down, get to guys the ball where they need it at. But that don't mean in my prime I was, the guy. Chris Paul never was that guy. He's good, but he was never that guy to get a team over the hedge when he needed them. Ray said it best. He had his opportunities. He didn't do it. That's what separates those guys in the league. Some do it, some don't. They always
say the best ability is the availability. Ziggy, what are your thoughts?
Personally, I agree with Andres in the fact that, every time Chris Paul does go to a team, that team does, in fact, get better. They do make, a few more steps. But at the same time, as everyone has said here, he hasn't been able to help that team. That thing you used to say, Carl, will his team.
They hate that word. You can't say that. That's a forbidden word in the Hitless dictionary. They hate that word.
But my question now that I would like to throw back to you guys, right, is that what about the individuals who say things like, hey, individuals don't win championships? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people like to refer to that New Orleans Hornets team that he had. Outside of David West, who else was on that squad? The Clippers, they look to that. So what would you guys say in terms of that? Like, what about...
Well, if individuals don't win championships, how can we give Chris Paul alone credit for the teams that he goes to? Right. There are other players involved there too. Like,
Thank you, Coach.
It's not like he's just going there by himself. Like, he's going to teams that have, like, it's Oklahoma City. Okay, they didn't have a lot of superstars, but the other players stepped up and played well with him. He helped get the best out of them, but they had to perform as well. So I can't play the game, and say, well, it's a team game, but we've seen players get it done and we've seen players not get it done. And that's what I can go by.
What I'll say is to that, and since Mr. Numbers brought this up, we talk about individuals don't win as a team sport, but then why do we highlight things that, as an individual stat, like usage rate? You know what I mean? Like how his usage impacts the game, right? When you think about every all-time legend at their peak, a lot of those legends that usage rate is somewhere in the 30s, or like I think like the keynote number I've seen a lot of times with our legends, just when I was on Basketball Reference, it's somewhere around 30.2 to 30.4, right? All-time peak, championship level, LeBron, Kobe, so on and so forth. So why do we highlight numbers like that if it's not about the individual, right? Why do we talk about things like gravity and Steph Curry if it's not about the individual? We have to stop using these situational arguments like it's a team sport, it's not an individual sport, when we see fit. We know what we're looking at. Yes, there's 5 players on the floor, but the value of each 5 is not the same. One of those guys in that 5 means a lot more and is weighted a lot heavier than the other 4. It is what it is.
Yeah, and again, Ray, it's a gray area again because a lot of times we throw the team accolades, the individual accolades, and we only use them towards our arguments when we're discussing. Coach, do you want to mention something in particular, or are we gonna let them rock until the season's over? Or...
Nah, you know me, man. Those guys gotta do what they're doing. I haven't seen a game yet. They haven't played a game yet. We're gonna let it just keep going the way it's going, man.
Oh, okay, that's it. So just so just let y'all rock until
This ain't about the Broadway bozos. That's not what we're talking about.
Listen, if you don't want to talk about it, we're not gonna talk about it because I know you want to boast. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't want to boast. I told you, listen, you see, Carl, Carl always trying to get something started. What did I say exactly in the beginning?
Hold up, I can tell you right now, Dak.
I said Ray's comments. I said Ray's comments are not aimed at every single Knicks fan.
I know.
It's aimed at certain individuals who go crazy. So I understand that. You know, I know where we at. That's what I always say to people in the chat. I know where we at.
To be fair, I wasn't even when the Knicks started well. Even when they were losing games, I was quiet. I didn't start piping up until Knicks fans started getting loud. Like, you know, I'm minding my business. I wait until the second half of the season before I get on my slander because the shoe always drops with the Knicks. So I'm letting y'all be great. Cook, keep winning. Shout out to Julius Randle, Seaview Park legend. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing your thing, Julius. But I'll be waiting. That's all.
Real quick though, Manny wants to know, Kid or CP3? That's what he wants to know.
Why you keep bringing that up?
Okay,
yeah,
all right, we're not gonna get to that.
Manny, why are you always bringing up Jason Kidd, bro? Come on, man.
Because he believes Jason Kidd doesn't get fair treatment. That's why.
We gotta have a segment. We're gonna have a segment for you.
So this is the surprise topic I want to talk about. Little Bow Wow entering pro wrestling. Now I know. I'm listen. Just
where's the leave conversation?
No, don't leave yet. Wait, Tom, don't leave yet. So for Womack, who's considered, I guess, a casual or an old school fan, what do you think about people who are stepping outside?
Let me go last.
Okay, Ziggy, what were your initial thoughts when you thought? I personally hate it. I think it's taking away from pro wrestlers now. But what did you think when you hear that Little Bow Wow's training with Rikishi?
When I saw it on the article that I read, man, the first thing I thought was, what kind of shit am I reading right here? Isn't he a rapper? Like, what happened to those days or whatever? But personally, like you just mentioned it, right? I don't want to see Bow Wow in no damn wrestling ring. Give me all these other companies that are developing these wrestlers, and I want to see them do their thing in the ring. I don't want to see Bow Wow. I don't pay to see Bow Wow. I just can't, bro. I thought it was a complete joke. I know there's all types of not Nexus. What's the thing y'all got now?
NXT.
I don't know. NXT. Like, give me some of those wrestlers because I've seen them dudes come out and do a few things. Or all these other overseas wrestlers that's killing it in the Japan leagues or whatever the fuck you call this shit.
New Japan Pro, bro.
Whatever, bro.
Oh man.
Ray, what are your thoughts as a wrestling enthusiast when you see someone from the rap game entering the wrestling ring?
Yo, Mac.
Listen. Well, Bow Wow, since you're here, first and foremost, you have people. Can't even do it.
I can't with y'all. Y'all are crazy, man. Y'all are crazy.
Yo, Matt, step out. Let me talk to Bow Wow real quick, bro.
Go ahead.
So Bow Wow, you know, when the WWE reaches out, when they want stars, they reach out to the stars. For you, Bow Wow, to reach out to WWE shows that you are desperate for any kind of clout in 2021. You know that no one cares about you. You was in the last verses with Ashanti and Keisha Cole talking all kinds of crazy in the comment section, had the whole shade room calling you corny. And now you're so desperate for you're talking about you got an album coming out. So now, because you know no one gives a damn about your album, you decide that you're going to go to WWE and get a WrestleMania match so that somebody will buy your album. This is pathetic. You are desperate. Go back to that random cable channel with your reality and hip hop. Love and Hip Hop, the CBS brand. That show you do whatever it's called. Growing Up Hip Hop. I don't know. But whatever it is, keep doing that. Sean Moss, we don't give a damn about you. You had your time. Go call up AJ and Free. Maybe they can revive 106 Feet. Give you something to do because it's over. We're gonna turn the channel at WrestleMania when your match comes on. We're not gonna watch. We don't care.
Coach, you can come back, man.
Can I do my? Remember the Bow Wow? He had a fake challenge of the "Let me hold."
Okay, but coach, as a non-watcher of pro wrestling, and does this intrigue you when you see someone like for example, we saw Snoop a couple of weeks ago take that dive, right? And now Shaq apparently is about to wrestle Cody Rhodes, right? So now we got Bow Wow. When you see someone who's not in their element go into the squared circle, what are your thoughts?
All right, man. You're gonna make me get hated on here, like
It's
by the
cool.
wrestling community.
Do it.
I got 2 thoughts, or maybe 3. So first thought is Ray said it best. They call you because it's a numbers game. What they do is they go through your social media, they go through your mentions, they go through all the analytics of how much your audience would jump with
Your brand,
you over
yeah.
to your brand jumps over to wrestling.
Yep.
So, which is I don't know yet. Like I don't want to see him wrestle. I mean, I don't watch wrestling like that, but I do keep up on it because I like to be versed in all the different things that are happening. Even the entertainment. That's how I put in the comment. If Rosenberg could be a champion, why can't Bow Wow?
You know what, Coach? I give you props for knowing that. I'm surprised you knew that. I didn't even know you knew that Rosenberg was 24 champion, 24/7 champion.
24 champion. So
Yeah.
I try and keep my eyes and ears open, because it's it's in the entertainment sports world. But I don't know if Bow Wow has those numbers. Secondly, like this to me hurts wrestling from perspective of even though wrestling we know it's scripted, they still are athletes. And you bring somebody like Bow Wow and you push them to the top of it after all these guys are training, breaking their legs, breaking their arms. Like I watched a couple documentaries I like documentaries more than wrestling, about wrestlers trying to make it to the top and how they actually have to practice those different hits and how, I heard one guy say the other day, it took him 5 years to get from just being in the practice rings to getting a shot.
Yeah.
So you get Bow Wow who never wrestled in his life and you just push him up to the top, that decreases the sport. And if you want to keep calling it a competitive sport, you can't have people like that just coming in and go to the top. We know Snoop was just entertainment, but Bow Wow talking about I'm training with Rikishi and he's really trying to get the holds and stuff together. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Roll back.
And they didn't reach out to Bow Wow. He reached out to them. He's desperate. WWE didn't even know what a Bow Wow was. Okay.
Yeah. And I think they even got like Bad Bunny right now. Just like that's another.
See, but Bad Bunny's a different story. Like he's relevant right now. Like that's what I mean.
Yeah.
See, it's called entertainment for a reason. So when you get a Bad Bunny and a Snoop, I'm okay with it because we all know it's strictly entertainment.
Yep.
Some bogusness going on, and we're gonna go for the giggles. It's kind of like Rock and Jock basketball.
There you go.
Rock and Jock basketball, and we had some stars playing with them. I'm cool with that. But Bow Wow said he was training with Rikishi. Training.
Yeah.
That's what caught me. If Bow Wow would have just said, "Yo, you know what? I'm about to bring my fan base to the WWE." And get it popping over there, like start some controversy. Then I'm like, okay, he's playing the game now. But he's talking about becoming an athlete. Like, nah, bro. That ain't it.
All right, guys. Zig, final thoughts here before we wrap up. Any final thoughts?
No final thoughts, man. This was a great session as always. I'm always glad to be down with the A crew. You know what I mean? No offense to nobody out there. Don't feel no way.
This guy throwing shots.
I look forward to the next session, man. That's all I got to say about that.
Coach, final thoughts.
Yo, listen, man. Like Jake said, it's always good. Always good when I get Ray on because Ray's a he knows what he's talking about. So it's kind of tough because you can't debate, but you learn. You learn with good guys when you're listening to them. But also, listen, I don't want to hear nothing from Paul Ezeki about Jimmy Butler. I'm taking this time to address Paul Ezeki. Listen, you're supposed to be a Knicks fan, and you was happy when the Knicks lost to the Miami Heat because you were saying Jimmy Butler put his numbers up. Wow. But then when Jimmy Butler played against the Clippers, and the Clippers had called me like 20 minutes before the game because they needed somebody because they was almost half the team was out.
Someone tag him. Someone tag him in there, please.
And I heard nothing. You can't be a superstar and then go play and then lose to a team who's both superstars or stars are out and they starting point guard and you get an L. And then you don't say nothing. You disappear from the chat and you jump up to other conversations like you don't see us tagging you in a specific one. This is for you. This is for you, brother.
Ray, final thoughts, man. Any new segments coming out, people to pay attention to?
Well, new gray area is coming soon. I got Snotty Drippin. He's one of the top bloggers on Twitter. He's going to be coming on there. We're going to do kind of like a mid-season NBA report. There's a new rap roundtable live. If you haven't checked it out, episode 25 is out right now. We had shows on there. He had just got on the radio with DJ Self spinning this record, shitting me. So he's doing his thing. And I just want to say, since this is a basketball discussion, that, Andres, your dad is the best commissioner in sports. As much as you kill him.
Someone tag Andres.
Your father is the best. Don't talk about racism. Don't get in your feelings about the All-Star game. Why? Because we can have an All-Star game when there is no bubble. They're still traveling. The money's still being printed. So why not the All-Star game? Don't quote players who are top-notch in the players union getting in their feelings about it because the players union agreed to it just like the owners did. Why? Because money talks. When you're getting your feelings about your dad, the best commissioner in sports, realize that it's not about him, it's about money. You can't be self-righteous when money's involved. People, money talks. I've been telling y'all that since the pandemic started, and you still don't get it. If the price is right, there will be sports of all kinds. The end.
Yeah.
Hold on, Carl. I got to ask Ray a question before you end the sports. Hold on, real talk. I know this is sports chat, but we went to wrestling. So I could go to rap. Who had the better song on the Judas soundtrack? The Nas track or verse? The Nas track or the Jay-Z track? I know you're a whole.
We shifted to the rap round table, ladies and gentlemen.
No. Well, I'm a big whole fan. But when I heard that Nas song, I was like, I really thought about you, and I said, I wonder if you guys touched on that. This could give you a little promo for the rap round table.
Ray, we got 3 minutes, bro, so you got to make it quick.
Well, it's funny you mentioned it because there's a YouTube clip right now. We're talking about it on there. Check out the rap round table. We're talking about those 2 songs. But as we're here for the people, because I do what I do for Gotham City. I mean, they both delivered. They smoked it. You know, both guys close. One's over 50, one pushing 50. But I felt like Jay did that.
They got it. All right.
He gave us about 24 bars. He gave you his boss talk. He gave you his woke talk. But I feel like it's almost like you go to a steakhouse and it's quality steak. You just choosing your cut. I like ribeye. You might want the T-bone. You don't lose in this equation. I'm taking Jay. But Nas verse, if I'm saying Jay was 10, Nas was 9.9. It's a win-win.
Gotcha.
We will talk about the All-Star game as we get closer to it. Make sure you check out the Rap Round Table, the Gray Area. Wall Mac will be on the B Show. The Sports Hit List presents the B Show. My wife's show tomorrow. He'll be on there at 5:30. Please make sure you check that out. Smoke and Mirrors podcast. That's another Sports Hit List presents with Greg Polius and his brother Stefan. And Declan is coming soon. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Up next, we have Below the Mic with Errol Marks, who's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network CEO. Please make sure you check it out. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Take care.
Peace.
Serve.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.